and this one was one size fits all, which I'll never buy again because it's big. Okay, so next I'm going to take some T-pins and I'm going to pin my closure down on my spandex cap all the way at the edge. So you just want that excess lace to be hanging over, and I'm going to be pinning it down really tight and snug because when you're sewing down your closure, you just want to make sure that it doesn't have any wrinkles in it. So when I'm sewing it in, I'm taking the needle underneath the cap and through the closure, and I am like pulling the needle through the loop just to make it hold a little bit more tight. And as you're sewing it down, same thing, you just want to make sure that your closure is laying flat. And so you can see that I'm taking the pin and like moving them around and pinning them where I need them to be. When I start sewing down my closure, I do one side and then I switch over to the other side. And then I'll do the back after I have done both sides, and that's just the easiest way for me to help make sure that my closure lays flat. Like, I don't like to sew from one side all the way around to the other side, so I just do this to just make sure like there's enough tension and it's going to be laying flat. So here I'm just going to be throwing some tape on my mannequin head to make sure that my wig doesn't stick to it as I'm gluing it. And really, I should have done this in the beginning, but I totally forgot. So you can do this before you sew on your closure. So next I'm going to be gluing on my tracks, and I'm using a hot glue gun to do this that I purchased from Walmart. And you just want to make sure that you work quickly. So you want to put the glue down, and then I already pre-measure my tracks so I know where they're going to stop and end, and I put those on top of the glue as quick as I can. The hot glue gun is pretty much just like the 30-second weave glue. It's going to dry up really quickly, so you have to work, you know, at a fast pace. You don't have to cut your tracks if you don't want to. You can do the fold over method, but I personally don't like to do that because I like my wig to be like as flat as possible, and so I do cut my tracks when I'm making wigs. If you end up getting the hot glue on the actual like weave hair, don't worry about it because once it dries, it just comes off really easily. You can either comb it out or just pick it out with your fingers, but of course you want to try not to get it on there as much as possible. As you're laying your tracks on, you want to try to keep them close together so that you don't have super huge gaps because that will show when you put on your wig. So just try to make sure that you keep your tracks as close as possible. I was able to fit pretty much all 3 bundles in here. I had one little piece that was maybe like 3 or 4 inches left, and I'll show you guys that at the end of me gluing these pieces on. When I'm gluing down the tracks, I'm trying to keep that U shape, and so sometimes I'm putting tracks from ear to ear and the other ones I'm filling in the middle. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping that U shape and there's no extreme gaps in between my tracks. Once I get to the last piece that I'm going to be gluing on at the top, I make sure I put that as close to the closure as possible, and I do this last piece in sections. So I do like one side, I do the back, and then I do the last side. And that's just because you want to make sure that you don't put too much glue and that it's super neat, because your closure needs to lay over this last track and it needs to be perfect. So I glued down my last piece, and I'm just showing you guys that I have about 3 to 4 inches left from that third bundle. And now I'm gonna flip my wig inside out, and I'm gonna be cutting out that excess wig cap that is where my closure is, because I want my closure to show, obviously. So we need to cut that excess part out, and you do want to be careful that you don't cut the actual lace and you don't cut you don't cut the stitches out. So just really take your time with that. I just wanted to show you guys the original texture of the hair before I style it. As I said before in the beginning of the video, it's Malaysian body wave. The closure texture is just a little bit different, and that's because, like I said, I bleached and washed it, and so that's why I'm going to be curling this unit. But as you guys can see, my tracks are really close together. The wig looks nice and full, and this hair is super soft. I absolutely love it. So here I'm just taking my wand and adding some curls to it. I have to style it. I'm not going to separate the curls until the wig is actually on my head, and that's just like how I like to do it personally. But I'm just curling it, and then I'm just spraying it down with spritz to make sure it holds that curl. But guys, like, this hair curled beautifully. I had no issues with curling this at all, which is popping, because I always say this in every video that I do a weave hair, but I love curly hair. So I was super excited that this curled, and I'll show you guys the finished product. So guys, here's the finished product, and I absolutely love it. Like I said, I haven't separated the curls yet, so it will probably get just a little bit bigger than this, but I am in love with this wig, guys. And my only complaint about it would be that the wig cap that I used was super big, so I'm gonna have to finesse that.